Our favorite wall crawler is back, and he's out to save Manhattan from Venom and his symbiote army in Spider-Man: Web of Shadows.
The storyline's kind of a unique thing that was actually driven by a lot of the gameplay elements. We started off with a lot of the gameplay ideas first, and the story kind of came out of that. The goal was to create, something that was very immersive as far as being a real Spider-Man experience, where the player could actually get the sense of being Spider-Man, that hero, the wall crawler, fighting on the walls and in the air. And so to really make that work, we needed to give him challenges, on the walls and in the air, and opponents that would work that way. And so, of course, you've got to kind of put some really capable enemies, and the whole symbiote invasion ended up being a really great fit because we kind of got to take, all the millions of people in Manhattan and just make them, super villains. My favorite villain is probably the Black Cat, even though she's not really a villain. The way you encounter her is kind of under somewhat dubious circumstances. You've got to track her down and confront her, and you end up fighting against her. And what I think is a really cool rooftop battle. Again, you're on the walls and on the roof, and you can throw her off, and she'll use her grappling hook to zip back, and she's kind of flying up in the air at you, and you kind of have these great aerial duels with her. If you play your cards right, you end up, kind of then becoming her friend, and she'll join you in the fight later on. That's one of my personal favorite encounters.
I am the only one who understands what's happening. What I thought was an infection turned out to be an invasion.
Working with Spider-Man, the first thing that we wanted to do was we knew that the camera was the main interface, and the controller, but the camera really frames all the action. And one thing that we wanted to do is make sure that the player got a sense of that. So the first thing that we did is we made some camera adjustments, really tried to frame the action that was on screen. We have a feature where you can lock onto enemies by tapping the left trigger. When you do that, it basically focuses the camera on an enemy. Spider-Man can then swing around, but the camera pivots, keeping Spider-Man and the enemy on screen. So then you can just focus on timing. You can really focus on what type of move that you want to do. I've heard people say oh, that's like one of the few times I've actually seen a game like this actually look like a comic book panel.
Look at them all. How can one man hope to defeat them?